Hello, hello. I figured I will check in with Anne Enright's Actress, which is a novel that I'm listening to with Anne Enright doing the narration. And man, she does an awesome narration. She's got this kind of Irish voice, kind of fairly wry voice of a daughter talking about her now fairly her long dead mother, who indeed we learn in the kind of the third chapter, which I just finished, that she is now going to be a year older than her mother was when she died. She's kind of charting unknown territory, um, but she's very much kind of going through her mother, like her memories of being kind of a young child and her mother being on the phone, and her mother's rise and her mother's fall. Um, as this actress, and getting, she still does get kind of like all these interview requests. There's a young woman who comes to see her who is it, what is gender fluid, not probably bisexual, I guess. And you could see that she's having a conversation with him. It's like, oh, this isn't actually about my mother. This is about the girl projecting whatever she wants on what her thoughts of her mother is. Her mother, who is sort of seen as a symbol of Irishness with red hair and stuff like that, but who she goes, the narrator goes across. Nora, I think is her name. I'll have to look up the names. Um, goes across to Britain because it turns out her mother, who supposedly is Irish, was actually born in Britain. Her itinerant actor parents came, were living there when she was born, so she was actually British. And it's funny because she reenacts kind of like scenes from her childhood, and she gives the people around her, like the women on the road and stuff like that, she gives them Irish accents. It's like suddenly, and it suddenly hits her. It's like they wouldn't have had Irish accents. It's like, oh yeah, they would have had London ones. And indeed, she herself, the mother, had basically a stage Irish accent, which over the years became more and more plausible, until it just seemed like an everyday Irish accent. But it was a mask put on this woman. And yeah, you can see the daughter, even at the beginning. It's like, yeah, this is the mother. This big kind of larger than life figure was overshadowed me, and she kept on getting told stories, asked stories, people writing books. And it's like, and her husband is just like, one day it's just like, you can, with irritation in his voice, he's like, well, why don't you just write the book? Not in a like, oh, encouraging way, but just like, fucking, I'm tired of listening to you yak on about your mother. Why don't you just write the book? And it's like, kind of get it out of you or something like that. It just has such a nice warm conversational tone, rueful. um Nora is like 58, 59 now, so she is past middle age. Middle age being, you know 51 or something, because that's how old I am. And and it's one of those things of like, that overshadowing figure. And I think it's like, well, my father wasn't a larger than life figure, but he looms large in my life. And it's like, how old was he when he died? Was did have I outlived what he was? He seemed so impossibly old when I saw him. He's suffering from alcoholism, so that ages people. um but it's like, oh, you know it's that kind of relationship with a parental figure is kind of is an interesting one, um and complicated. And yeah, and you can see the daughter in this. She's exploring her mother, but I suspect she'll also be kind of figuring out, well, where does my mother end off, and where do I begin? And that whole age divide of like, oh, I'm going past her age. I don't have my mother as a model or as something that I'm going to follow, going forward. And I mean, it doesn't sound like she ever followed her into stage work. She's more of a writer herself, I think. Yeah, yeah, she is a writer herself. Unlike Anne Enright, who is a very successful novelist, she is like a middling, okay novelist, but a storyteller. Yet, nevertheless, um, and so not that successful. Where her mother was really successful, and there's that contrast there. So yeah, I'm really enjoying that. I love the audiobook of it. It's wonderfully read by the author herself, which I really love it when authors read their own work and get it. There's a hilarious scene of her mother being born, and it's like she's born in front of an audience. Her mother goes into contractions. The doors open, and she's like on the stairs and like kind of groaning, giving like animal guttural things, and like the little kid, the neighborhood kids are like sitting there watching, just like, and it's like, in the memory, of course, there's a skirt over it. You don't see the head broaching. You don't see the blood and the water and all that going down the stairs. But it's like, ta-da, onto stage right from the beginning. And you can tell that that's one of those family stories that the mother has told over and over again and embellished and made more dramatic and more comedic and more grand, like self-aggrandizing. So yeah, yeah, that's what sticks out in my head so far. How about Actress by Anne Enright? More videos later.